Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders. We are very lucky to be joined by Stefanie here from the Barrell Whiskey Company. So we're going to talk about all the new cool stuff they have, and she's down here visiting us. So I'm going to let you turn it over to you. Tell them a little about yourself.
Sure. Thanks so much. Well, hey, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Stefanie Bear. I'm the National Director of Sales for Barrell Craft Spirits. I've been with the company for about 4.5 years, and I'm visiting Dallas today from lovely Denver, Colorado. Right before your crazy heat season kind of kicks in. So I fit it right in time. Then I'm going to run away to the mountains for the summer. But
good choice.
No, I'm super happy to be here. This is a beautiful space. Thank you guys for having me. Like I said, I've been with the company about 4.5 years. I've been in the national director position now for about 18 months. Prior to that, I was director of the West. And before that, I just managed Colorado. But I moved to Denver specifically for this job with Barrell Craft. Nice. I got a call from, I was living in New York City at the time. I got a call from Will Schragus, who's a good friend. And he was the national director 5 years ago. And he was like, hey, I know you're looking to leave New York City. I think you maybe, we've got like a couple cities you can take your pick if you want to come work for Barrell. And I think maybe 3.5, 4 weeks elapsed between that phone call and then me accepting the job and changing my address. So
plus, you get to leave New York. It's a fabulous.
Yes, I was not mad about it.
I bet you weren't.
Look, New York was great. I lived there for 10 years. I moved there right after college. I spent many years bartending. I had some wonderful jobs. I worked for Fernet Branca for a little while. I worked for William Grant for a little bit. It was a nice couple of years, but you hit like 32 and you're like, all right, maybe me personally, I was like, I got to get out of here and try something else. So never looked back.
There's Dustin. Hey, Dustin, good to see you there. Hey, Donald, good to see you guys. We wouldn't know how we got the host to be on the replay as well for later, but yeah, great to see you guys. It's be a lunchtime break for you guys to watch some whiskey stuff, which is always a plus.
We're having lunch as well.
So. Exactly. Our lunch is liquid, and it's beautiful. So we figured we'd teach some guys about that. So I think we'll address the first thing just about the whole possible what's going on with the company stuff. And we heard rumors of sales and those things, and you talk about that real quick. And then we're going to jump into all the whiskey.
Yeah. Well, so yes, there have been a lot of rumors about what's going on at Barrell Craft Spirits. And, I'm happy to say we are not for sale. We are very, very happy. I don't know if anybody watching this has met Joe Beatrice, our owner and founder, or, has heard him on a podcast or anything, but Joe is incredibly passionate about this company. He really built it from the ground up. And this is the company that, I don't know if he'll ever retire, which thing. I think, you've really found what you love if you're never going to leave. And so, while we're always looking, entertaining, conversations and exploring opportunities and kind of figuring out how we can better grow Barrell Craft Spirits and bring it to more people, and certainly keep the brand, going strong after a really tough 2023 in the spirits industry. There's a lot of brands that were,
at least, not good.
Real tough. Yeah, a lot of brands that had to make some tough decisions, and we were one of them. But we're still here and going strong. Those decisions were the right ones to keep our business sustainable and keep it moving.
So what are some of the changes that with that going on? What are some of the changes that are going to happen because of that?
Lots of change. Well, where do I start? Yeah. So, all right. Well, all good things, truly. Look, I think the market really exploded over the pandemic. Certainly.
Oh, yeah. Went nuts.
We grew quite a bit. When I joined Barrell in November of 2019, it was fortuitous for two reasons. One, I moved out of New York before the pandemic, which really worked. I had a yard. It was amazing for the first time in my life. And I could drink whiskey on a porch instead of in a tiny little room. And then the other thing was, it was right before Barrell exploded. We really blew up, like a lot of other.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
A lot of other brands. We, doubled, tripled our production over the course of 2-3 years. We bought a whole new facility. Our facility in Jeffersontown, J-Town, Kentucky. So it's technically it's Louisville. If I'm saying that right. If you're from Kentucky, forgive me if I've been told my accent isn't great.
It's okay. We pronounce everything in Texan here. We don't know if it's right or wrong. We won't carry it.
Yeah. And we built this whole new facility. It's capable of producing 1 million cases a year.
That's a lot of
whiskey. Which is a lot of whiskey. 3 bottling lines that can run and do that. And we really exploded. And I think, what comes with that is you kind of saturate the market a little bit with your whiskey.
Absolutely.
And as you can make the best thing in the world, but if people see it all the time, everywhere, every day, it becomes not as special, right?
Right.
So one of our biggest kind of, things for this year and for ongoing with our portfolio is to really narrow down the number of releases that we're putting out. So we're focusing on, of course, the tried and true favorites that everybody knows and loves, Dovetail, Seagrass, and Vantage.
Delicious.
We've got Barrell Foundation Bourbon out as kind of the new one to round out the core four. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that product later. But then in terms of our, bourbon batches, I think are going to be the most affected by this. So in previous years, we released maybe, 3, 4, 5 bourbon batches.
Right.
We're doing one a year now. That's it.
Okay.
So we're going to have one per year. It'll be available all year long. We're going to produce to the demand that we have for it.
Okay.
So batch 36 bourbon I just got my first 2 orders this morning. So
nice.
Shout out to Georgia and Michigan. Thank you guys for ordering your batch 36 right away. Texas won't be far behind, I'm sure.
I'm sure not.
And so that'll be available for all year until about February of next year. And then batch 37 will come out. And we've also retooled the label as well, because we're really doubling down on our commitment to transparency and really being really open and honest about what it is, not just the fact that we're blending, because we've always been that way, but also about what it is specifically that's going in the bottle. In the past, this information was always available on our website. But if you're shopping, if you're like at a bar looking at a bottle, or you're shopping in a store, you're not going to go to the website, right? I mean, it's pretty rare. So we've totally changed the front label, and we've laid out, the derived mash bill for all of our different whiskeys. So you can see we've done the math on the volumetric average, the equation of all the different barrels that went in and what percentage, and then what mash bill those barrels were in. Trip or somebody smarter than me has worked out that math. And then we've also really put on the front label of the bourbon batches in particular, we've laid out, what states everything comes from, and then what ages those groups of barrels are from those particular states. So in the past, when our labels would say Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, Maryland, for example, which is the makeup of Foundation, that was it. But now we say, okay, the 8-year bourbon comes from Tennessee and Kentucky. The 9-year bourbon comes from Indiana. Cool. And it's all laid out on the front label for you.
On the front too, even better.
Yeah, on the front label for the batches, and on the back label for Foundation. Will it still
have the shield looking thing, or is that going to completely change too? It's still the shield, just different.
Exactly. So we've got a big old 36 that's going to be kind of in the corner right here.
Okay.
And it says batch pretty large, so that people don't think it's a 36-year-old.
Right.
And then on the left,
be a problem.
And then on the left-hand side, it lays out Kentucky these ages, Tennessee these ages, so on and so forth.
Cool.
Sounds like compass box.
A little bit, yeah. Well, you got to borrow from the best, right?
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you might as well pour the foundation and talk about what it is.
Yeah, let's drink
it. The new kid on the block.
So we're really excited about Foundation for a couple of reasons. One of the things that we're getting asked a lot in the question that you just asked me about what's going on with the future of Barrell Craft Spirits.
Exactly.
People are noticing that they're not seeing Stellum quite as much.
Yes, because actually when Will was on, when Stellum came out, we had him on to talk about both of the rye and the bourbon, which were both fantastic.
Yes.
So is that label going away, I assume?
It is going away, yes. Okay. So those of you who may be familiar with Stellum or not, that's, a cast strength bourbon and a cast strength rye, different bottle. And those retail usually in like the mid 50s to the high 50s, low 60s, depending where you are in the country. And, Stellum was a really great brand. And I think we made some really fantastic whiskey, won a lot of awards, but it just didn't fit in the Barrell Craft Spirits portfolio. And so as we're thinking about honing in our different releases and really narrowing our focus and really focusing on not producing a ton of stuff, we're going to have new releases, of course, because that's who we are as a company, but not releasing new things constantly and trying to manage 2 brands at once. We decided to retire, if you will, the Stellum line of products. And then we still own all of those really amazing barrels that we use to make Stellum. And we're moving them into new fun projects that we're making at Barrell.
Awesome.
And so I won't say that Foundation is all Stellum barrels because it isn't. Stellum was pretty much an Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee brand. Foundation includes Maryland bourbon as well. So you got 4 different states.
Now, you guys be allowed to start telling where the stuff comes from, or that's still got NDAs on it?
That's still going to be an NDA.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured that was the case.
Yeah. But, anytime that we can, we'll talk about it. Anytime that you can co-brand, we like to co-brand, but it's often not up to us. It's the people we buy from that have those scruples in place.
We like Maryland, though.
We do like Maryland. Yes. Yeah. Well, you and I are East Coasters, so yeah. We're just figuring that out earlier. But we're really excited about it. So I think it's going to really kind of take over the place of Stellum and really bring the people that were drinking Stellum into Barrell, because they didn't realize they were the same company for the most part.
No idea. The totally different bottles, totally different look. No clue they were the same. And
we really wanted an approachable price point. This bourbon is really meant for people who have never tried Barrell Craft Spirits before, because it's $85, $90 a bottle. This is going to retail for $55 or so.
Yeah, perfect.
Again, depending where you are in the country. And so it's really meant for people who have been curious about barrel craft spirits, haven't been able to buy a bottle of it yet. And, now they can go out and they're like, okay, I'll try Foundation. And then maybe they'll try Seagrass or Vantage or Dovetail, after that. And then again, for people who've been drinking barrel for a really long time, it's just a damn good everyday bottle.
Especially especially the price. Yeah, now you get a $50 everyday. Not that you couldn't drink $90 stuff every day, because you totally could and wouldn't say no to it, because it's amazing products.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice people like that hadn't been into it before, and now they can try a barrel product. Oh, they can put 50 out every day, and it's not that big a deal to drink that. Maybe less than the month or whatever, a little bit less, and have a pour every day and enjoy it. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Now, am I right that this is not cast strength?
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. I should talk about that. Yes. So it is our first ever non-cast strength whiskey. So we've been making whiskey since 2013. And we really wanted to put something out there in the market that, again, you could have one or two, and you don't have to be drinking something that's our average proof, I would say, in most of the products we make is about 116, 117.
Yeah, that's probably right.
And that's kind of a lot for every day, no judgment, right? But, it's not necessarily for everybody. So the 100 proof is a really good kind of easier sipping, kind of everyday drinker. You can have a couple and you don't have to worry too much about it.
Well, Bourbon, I don't know. That's a great question. Does Cincinnati stink more than New York? I don't know the answer to that question. But since Dustin lives there, he can answer that question.
We'll look for it in the chat.
There you go.
Yeah.
You let us know which city stinks worse. I don't know. I mean, it can't smell as bad as Newark, though. Nothing smells as bad as Newark.
Newark is getting kind of nice.
It's gotten nicer because I remember living there because my parents are from Long Island. So we go there to Long Island every summer usually. And we go to Newark sometimes when whatever airport was cheapest. And it's like, oh my gosh, get the plane's the worst. But last time, you're right. Last time I was there, it didn't smell as bad. So I did appreciate that.
Got to take the path train.
The path train. Yeah, I got to get that. I lived in Jersey City for maybe 18 months in the decade that I lived in that part of the world. And path train and I got to be good friends over a number of months.
Water 30, Trans Hudson.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
It's a long ride under that river.
Mm.
That's true. I have not. Last on Long Island was 2008.
Okay, so it's been a minute.
Yeah, but now last time was to Newark was 2 years ago.
Okay. Did you go to Newark or did you go to the airport?
We went to the airport.
Okay, so you didn't leave the airport.
No, we went to the airport and then we drove to Monroe.
Okay, so you smelled the air.
Oh yes, I definitely smelled the air. Yes, that was the thing. Is as a kid, I was like, oh god, we're at Newark.
No, that airport got really nice.
It was way nicer.
It's
this time.
really nice.
Because when I was a kid, it was not nice.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Though. No one admits to living in Jersey.
What did he say?
It's no one admits to living in Jersey.
It was only for 18 months, all right? And it was Jersey City. It's basically, I don't know. It's as far from New York City as Brooklyn is, but it's a different state. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to just keep drinking my whiskey.
He's Long Island, so
all right. I'll be out there. I'll be out in Long Island on June 20th.
Oh,
That's
good.
that Thursday.
You can go meet up with him.
Yeah.
He's another YouTuber out there.
Have a drink out there.
This is really nice, though. Yeah, I really like this a lot. This is really great. And 100 proof is nice for that haven't really gotten to these type of cast strength yet, and it doesn't make them, choke on it. Whereas we love cast strength, so for us it's fine.
Right. But
yeah, this is a really nice 100 proof. It actually drinks a little warmer than 100 proof, which I appreciate. So
yeah,
it's just really nice. But Rebecca wants to know about what event would that be on June 20th?
The event is me being in a car and working Long Island and selling whiskey at liquor stores. So
any idea what liquor stores? So
I don't know. I haven't gotten my schedule yet, but maybe I'll let you guys know.
Let me know, and then I'll let them know. The guys that live up there
and you can just pop in and be like, "Hey, what are you sampling?"
Exactly.
I bet you'll be in West Islip, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places there.
Well, I always ask the wholesalers to, find an event or something for us to do because you like to maximize your time, right? Look, if I'm going to be on the road, I want to work all day and all night. I want to meet as many people as possible. I want to support as many accounts as possible. I want to do as many things as possible. So I'm sure we'll probably end up booking something, but I don't know what it is yet. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Yes, Andy, that is where those guys from Penelope are from.
Great bourbon.
Mm-hmm. They might be. They might source from the same place.
Maybe.
For part of their products.
Maybe.
Of course, they bought it back to their own place. It doesn't really matter for Penelope anymore.
Well, you mentioned this being on the hotter side, and it's a high rye bourbon.
Yeah, which I
Which
love.
is
So for
my
me,
favorite.
It's like the best.
Yeah.
Anything with the rye in it, the higher the rye, the better for me.
Yep.
So I'm like, yes, like a good spicy bourbon.
We were just talking before lights, camera, action about our love for rye, and I think you meet a lot of people that don't like rye.
Oh yeah.
And
Sadly.
the answer is just you haven't had the right
just
rye.
give them
yet.
seagrass.
Yeah.
Give them seagrass. Your problem is solved.
Yeah.
It's like you'll like rye at that point.
It just gives it more backbone, more structure, and particularly for a bourbon for me, like I just think bourbons can be like they're fantastic bourbons,
Right?
But a lot of them, for me personally, in my palate, they can be almost cloyingly sweet.
There's no doubt
And
about that.
I really like a bit of a backbone, a bit of spice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like to know I'm drinking whiskey and then it wants to hurt me. So that's what I appreciate.
Right. Yeah. So how was your childhood? Do you want to talk about that?
They spanked us a lot. I
Air Force.
Military
Exactly.
kid. All right. Say no more.
don't know. We were good children. It was very bad if you did bad things. It ended poorly. You learned that one time. Don't do that again.
I mean, I wasn't raised in the military, but my dad was a career firefighter, and it was, probably not dissimilar.
It's probably pretty close to the same thing.
Instead of guns, they had hoses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. He did a scare me straight thing right before high school when he talked to the cops at the police. If my dad watches this, I'm sorry I'm outing you, but he
My dad did too.
He
so,
did? All right.
yeah.
He talked to the cops at the police station, and he was like, I'm going to scare my daughter. And he brought me in, locked me in a cell,
Oh, geez.
and was like with a guy in it that turned out to be one of his friends, but like I didn't know. I thought it was just like some stranger. And he was like, this is what'll happen to you if you break the law. And I was just like, I don't know what I did. I think I stole a pack of gum. Like, I'm so sorry. And I've never broken a rule since.
See? That's
So.
a good idea.
Yeah. That does happen.
Oh, that's too funny. But yeah, if you guys see some shot, these are really nice. I would, because we didn't even know about it. So they brought it the other day, and this is really good. So is this in most states now? The foundation?
It is, yeah. So we
Okay.
launched it around October of last year in a handful of test markets.
Okay.
Maybe by the end of December, it was maybe 10 or so test markets, and then we
Okay.
went full national with it in February.
Okay, awesome. So hopefully you guys can find them all and check it out.
Only state we're not in right now is Hawaii. I'm working on it. I
We
want
do have fans in
that
Hawaii,
trip.
but none of them are currently in the chat. But I do know we have fans in Hawaii. So hopefully you'll get it there soon enough. And apparently Ben knows the West Islip boy as well. So hopefully it's a store you go by.
Okay. All right. Well, now it's going to be. Yeah.
Okay.
If it wasn't on the schedule, it is now.
All right, you want to move on to the next one then?
Yeah. Should we do you want to do some Mizunara?
Sure, let's do
Yeah.
that. Because I'm very excited about the story on this one too, that it's only Mizunara, which
Yes.
That's
Do you need to
exciting.
rinse your glass?
I could do that.
Here, I got you here. Boop, there you go. So the Mizunara is the newest in our line of whiskeys that we're calling the cask finish series.
okay.
So when you were asking me earlier about, what's new at Barrell, we've got this. Oops, I'm sorry, I spilled a little bit on you.
It's a bar, it's fine.
Yeah, it's nice though. It's
It makes
clean
the wood, it's nice.
It's polish is what we call
Try.
and polish. I like that.
it.
It's the bar's
Absolutely.
character. You just rub it into the wood and it
Yeah.
feels nice.
Wax on, wax off.
Exactly.
With whiskey.
Now it's all good. They make your hands smell nice.
So the cask finish series is a new line within our portfolio of products that is going to really focus on one particular barrel and how it interacts with the bourbon that's finished in it. So for the people that know Barrell and have been following us for a while, which I would imagine is most people on the podcast.
Yeah, I would imagine most of them know.
Yeah, you'll know that Vantage, Seagrass, Dovetail, all of these have 3 cask finishes on them. We've never really
Right.
done anything that has one single cask finish that wasn't part of our private barrel
Right.
program. And so we're really working on, expanding this line, and really it gives us the opportunity to really kind of get nerdy about aging and about wood, which is not something that as blenders we really get to talk about all that much,
Right.
because we don't really necessarily have a say in that when we buy whiskey from other
Sure.
people. Sometimes we'll continue to age things, certainly,
Right.
but it's a different conversation when you're cask finishing or not. And so it really allows us to kind of open up and talk a little bit more about that aspect of the business. We're going to have 2 of these per year. All of them will be limited. So we're only doing one production, of each one. The first one was the Amberana. It came out around August of last year.
Right.
We followed that up with the Tale of Two Islands, which came out around the holidays.
Really like that one.
That was a really good one.
That was a really good one.
Yeah. And then Mizunara came out about 2-3 weeks ago. It's still finding its way into a couple states, but if you haven't seen it on shelves yet, wherever it is that you are, you will soon.
Are you I don't know any other bourbons that are doing Mizunara. Do you know where else use Mizunara for bourbon?
Not bourbon.
Isn't
I feel like
there
there's a lot of Japanese, obviously, that
Yeah.
do.
There's a rabbit hole.
Does Rabbit Hole have
They have a
Oh,
Mizunara.
they do.
Yeah.
Isn't that they're like insanely?
It's like
$1,300.
Yeah, it's very
or something
expensive.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
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 And I'm sure it's great. But
I'm sure it's fine, but
definitely out of
that's not
reach.
for. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that.
Yeah.
That's great. But this is one you could actually afford and find.
Yep, this is priced
This
right
is
in line
really
with the
nice.
rest of our portfolio.
How old is what's the makeup in this one?
So I don't want to. I'm not quite off book on it, but luckily it's on the back label now.
There we
So
go.
we've got Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. The Indiana and the Indiana is 6, 7, and 9 years old. The
Okay.
Tennessee is 8 and 14 years old, and the Kentucky is 8 years old.
Okay.
And this is a high rye as well. This is 76% corn, 20% rye, 4% malt barley,
Okay.
and then it's a 18-month Mizunara cask finish.
It's a long finish,
Yes.
which is really nice.
And full cash strength?
Full cast strength on this one.
What
Yeah,
is the-
about
what's the
116.
proof?
Wait, I think I'm off book on 116.24.
Okay. See, she's right.
42.
42.
116.42.
Ah,
Damn it, I was
okay.
so close. What are you gonna do?
Okay, so one question that Dustin says some people that turns them off is using Dickel. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, what is that, and why did Stella and Barrel Proof end up basically priced the same as Barrel Products? I guess that's another question they're asked.
Oh, I think what you're asking about, Dustin, is the black label Stellum that was retailing for like $99.99.
Yeah. that's right,
So what happened there is we wanted two different tiers of pricing within Stellum, like you do for every brand. You want, your entry level tier and you want your nicer, higher tier item. The thing with Stellum is that we didn't age state Stellum, and so it wasn't apparent that the black labels were older whiskeys.
Okay.
And the reason we didn't do that is because with Stellum, we really, between the blue label, which retailed for like $55 a bottle, the bourbon, and the black label, which retailed for about $100 a bottle, the bourbon,
Okay.
they were the same on paper. So if we were to age state both of those bottles, they both would have said 4 years old because you legally have to put the youngest in the blend. But the black label was primarily 8 to 14, whereas the blue label was primarily 4 to 6.
Okay, that's a big difference.
So yeah, it's like a decade's worth of difference between the bourbons, but we just didn't really figure out a good way to like explain that on the label. I think that's okay for me to say. We couldn't figure out how to label it so that was apparent.
Okay.
But that's the answer to that. It's really that the black labels were much older bourbons and ryes for that matter within the blend.
Yeah, I guess some people don't like the Tennessee, but this, I don't taste any of the Dickel on this at all.
Yeah, it doesn't stand out.
No, I like this a lot. I think this is
It
really
doesn't stand
quite
out in a negative way.
pretty great. But you guys seem to find a way to blend always the Tennessee stuff that, for the most part, generally, it's pretty freaking great.
Look, I think you need a lot of different ingredients to make an amazing thing.
Yeah,
Whether
exactly.
you're blending whiskey, whether you're making a cocktail, whether you're cooking dinner, there's always going to be individual ingredients that maybe you wouldn't just have by itself.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it doesn't work as an ingredient because it props up other things from other producers. And that's,
And then again, there's other people that love that. Like, there's no tomorrow. And there's a reason that brand's been around for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. And, I always tell people there are other whiskey companies in Tennessee that make and
This is
sell
also true.
whiskey. So it's
They aren't the only one.
it's not necessarily one producer. It depends what you're looking at.
That's true. There is another large one there that does source things. So that is also valid.
Yeah. When we first started out, I would get a lot of questions from people. Well, I've had, so I actually worked for Barrell part-time back in 2016.
Oh, okay.
When I was bartending, you find other jobs, you got to hustle, right?
Oh, yeah.
You got to make that money. And I found Barrell because, Schragus, my predecessor, was working for what is now Spiribam. So he was selling me rum agricole at my bar. He was selling Clement and he was selling rum JM.
Nice.
And he sat at the bar. I was working the service well. If anybody, you guys know what the service well is?
I do not know what
So the service well is where you pump out all the drinks for everybody sitting at the tables.
Oh, okay.
And it was a 2-floor bar with like a couple hundred seats. So I was busy. It was happy hour.
Yeah, you were very busy.
I was busy. And Will tried to sit down and talk to me. And I wasn't very nice. And so if you can imagine, right? I was busy. I was like, don't talk to me, rep. I don't want to. And now I'm a rep. And I get, I get all the time. I'm like, darn, I remember this. And it was, so anyway, but we made up. He kept coming back and we became friends. And he was like, I think that you should work part-time when he moved over to Barrell.
Right.
He was the first non-family member of the company. And he was like, I think that, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah. 2015 or so, I think he joined, but he was like, you should come work for us part-time and do some in-store tastings. And I was like, yeah, of course. And I'll never forget, I was doing one at Park Ave Liquors. And a guy walked up to me and he was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, we're, this blended company out of Kentucky. And he was like, oh, I know all about blending. I'm not interested in trying your whiskey. That's a dirty little secret. And I'm not interested. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not trying to make you drink it. It's all good.
Right.
But that was in 2016. And, now we're in 2024 and there's
way more now. Yeah.
Way more prevalent. There's so many companies doing it. And it's been really cool to see, people that don't work in the industry really get, really interested in that method of production. And, we didn't invent it. It came from Scotland.
That's true.
It's been going on for
it's been going on for
a really long time.
250 years minimum.
Yeah, like we cannot
legally
claim to have invented blending whiskey.
And they were doing it way before.
Yeah,
that was too. Yeah.
hundreds of years, even before it was
concept.
Categorized as a thing. It was always happening, and so it's been really cool to kind of watch the industry grow and develop over the last 8 years or so. Because now I go to tastings. And people are like, oh, I love blended whiskey. Like, I want to tell me all about how you blend it. How do you, we teach blending classes now, and people want to blend their own, and it's come so far, and it's really cool to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. Blending is a lot of times it's way better than this thing by itself.
Yeah.
As we found, it's like, we've had some brands who freak out when we blended their products together. Like, why did you do that? I'm like, because it tasted better this way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm sorry. I thought it tasted great blended together, but whatever works.
Yeah.
Do we need a donation for ring light? Sure, if you want to make a donation for a ring light or a softbox, absolutely, Bourbon. We can totally make that happen. Like I said, they're the very first stream in here, so it's it's going to be a learning curve, but it's going well. So we're glad you guys can see it. It's not a buffering or anything, so that's called a win.
And that's not a UFO behind it.
Yes, those are called amazing chandeliers. So but yeah, if you want to make a donation, sure, we can totally do that.
Free ring lights. Ring lights sponsored by, who was that? Dustin? Was that Dustin?
Bourbon wants to know if he can do it. So yes, we can put your name. I'll get a little plaque for you and everything now.
Yeah. You can have your own space in the castle here.
Yeah, it's not the first stream, Bourbon. It's the first stream in the castle.
That's right.
Yeah, I think you guys have had both Will and Trip, right?
Yes,
from Barrell before. Okay, great.
It says, do donations to the castle get to have a real axe or sword used? The wooden one is at the house. That's true. We have a metal sword here. We do not have a metal shield though, so it'll be kind of hard.
I'm looking at it. I can see it.
So, but we can figure something out.
It takes water really well, as I'm discovering here.
Mm.
A little water actually broadens the flavor range even more.
I think it pulls out more of those like floral, like the coconut and like the incense kind of notes. Yeah, it's really lovely.
Yes, Cabo Box definitely did the heavy lift to make blending definitely a good thing. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they've also made a lot of the brands be good at it, which we appreciate. So yeah, because in American, when you guys started out, there really weren't a lot of like you said, blending was a dirty term. It was mostly GNS and then a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah.
But now it's all whiskey and really good whiskey put together to make an amazing product.
Right.
Which we really appreciate. So sadly, most people, like you said, just don't get that. But now they do. But
they do now.
Back in the time, no, they're like, I don't want that.
Well, at the time, I was like, what did I get myself into? Like, oh my God, that was maybe like the first 10 minutes of that tasting. And I was like, I got to be here for another 2.5 hours. Is everyone going to be like this? Oh my God. But luckily it was just a one and done kind of situation.
Just try it. If you hate it, fine. Spit it out.
Well, and that's the other thing I always tell people about our portfolio is like, we have so many whiskeys.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, come on, over the last 10 years, we've released hundreds. If you count all of our private barrels that we've done, our private blends. Hundreds of different types of whiskeys. And so if you don't like one thing, it's fine. Like, no one's going to hold it against you. But I would be willing to bet, I'd put a lot of money down that there's something in our portfolio that you would like.
I'd be hard pressed to find that something. Exactly.
The days of Seagram 7 are long gone.
They are. Yeah. For better or worse, depending on how you look at it. Yeah.
Much better days.
Yeah.
But yes, this is great. I think it's the first affordable, apparently, Mizunara one.
Yeah.
So is this going to retail about $90?
Yeah. So this is the same as Vantage, Dovetail, or Seagrass. So wherever you are in the country, whatever, $84.99 is what we sort of shoot for, but depends on taxes and kind of where you are. More commonly, you'll see it around the mid-90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And do Vantage, and then I know you guys have to go to another place.
What I think is cool is we're going to be trying, Vantage is triple. Well, it's not triple cast finish is like sort of the quick way to explain what Vantage is, but it's finished in Mizunara French and toasted American oak barrels. So this is a cool opportunity to try just Mizunara and then a Mizunara finish blended with other finishes.
Compare the differences.
Exactly.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Andy. We were talking about the other day. So the only problem with Barrel is, and the large portfolio is almost too many options.
Yeah.
I love the new 5-year because it should be a constant known bottle. And yes, God, it is delicious. So if you want to talk about that too, you're more than welcome about that little thing about how many, the giant portfolio maybe a little bit less.
Oh yeah. So we are, sorry, we're gonna.
So many SKUs. I hear
Yeah.
that a lot. Yeah, too many SKUs.
We have a lot of whiskeys. And that's part, a lot of crowding on the shelf. When you're releasing,
Right.
4 bourbon batches per year, not everybody's going to be able to work through that many,
Yeah,
So
it's just not possible. Yeah.
to this day, I still go to accounts that have been great supporters of ours and I'll find, batch 27 on the shelf and I'll be like, okay, are you keeping that? And the other question is, are you keeping that because you like it? Because a lot of them want a library, old
Right,
releases,
right,
which is
right.
great. That's
Yeah,
super cool to
absolutely.
see. But sometimes they're just like, no, I've got like 2 pesky bottles still here and you guys are on 35 now.
Sure.
So I think releasing a little bit less of them will allow us to help with that. But for the rest of the portfolio as well, we're really dialing back how many things we're putting out this year. So you will see from us, batch 36 bourbon is just coming out, this week. Mizunara bourbon just came out about 3 weeks ago. And those are our 2 newest releases for the time being. You're going to see around September, October. The plan is for a second release of the cask finish series.
Okay.
I am pushing very hard for it to be ice wine.
Yes, please.
I
really
had
want that really bad. So that would be
Nice.
great.
I don't want to put Joe's words on a recording, but he called me last week and made it sound like it was definitely going to happen. So fingers crossed.
That's right, Joe. We need ice
We
wine
need
finish,
some
please.
Ice wine finished bourbon. Whatever we do, it's going to be great.
I'm sure.
But I have such a soft spot in my heart
Yeah,
for the
I love
ice wine.
It's so hard to find.
Yeah.
So good.
The issue they were telling me at production is the availability of ice wine and ice
Right.
wine barrels is really, it's not that we don't want to make it.
Right.
It's
It's
that,
just
like,
you can't get the barrels. It's kind of hard
Yeah.
to make it. Yeah.
each of these cask finish series releases are about 2,400 or so 6-pack cases. So
Okay.
13-ish thousand bottles. You need a couple barrels to produce
Yeah,
that.
just a wee bit.
So-
Yeah.
So we're working on it, but that's the plan. And then we're also going to have New Year bourbon out every year. That's not going
Do love
away.
New Year.
So New Year bourbon 2025 will be coming out around November.
Cool.
And then we are dialing back a little bit our gray label and our gold label releases.
Okay.
So this year, the plan is to do one more gray label bourbon because we've been producing that every year faithfully since 2018.
Okay.
And then another gold label bourbon,
Okay.
but much smaller production size. Right now, we're talking about maybe 1,000 3-pack cases for the whole country,
Oh wow.
whereas
Wow.
previous releases were triple, quadruple that.
It's a big difference.
So we're
Okay.
really dialing. So they'll really be truly allocated and kind of hard to find. And then no gray seagrass, no gray dovetail this year so far.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll be like, "Hey, we found some really good rye barrels. We're gonna make it now," and I'll be like, "All right, it's cool. I can sell it, no problem. It's really good."
Yeah. Right.
But as of right now, that's the plan. And then the idea is that in coming years, every year we'll do a different gray and a different gold label, but we're only going to do one.
Okay.
So whereas this year it's bourbon, next year it might be seagrass, it might be dovetail, it might be
Okay.
bourbon again, might be something else.
Awesome.
Depends what we have.
Absolutely.
Still love those rum.
Oh, yeah.
Oof. Yeah. Those. Yeah.
They're so good.
Yeah. If you guys have not tried we don't have it with us right now, but the cask finish series Tale of Two Islands that is one of my favorite things we've done. And
pretty great.
it's a hard one to sell, because
Once they try it.
you have to, that's the key. But you got to know what Tale of Two Islands is.
Right.
You don't have like a reference for what that is unless you
That's
know what
good.
barrel is,
Yeah.
like these
We'll
guys.
teach that.
So come to Whiskey Crusaders, do a little class, and you'll learn about toady, as we call it affectionately.
Exactly. So Ben says, find ice cider cask and put rye in it, please. That also is not a horrible plan, Ben.
That's a great idea.
And then hey, William Hawkins here, and I love Greg's sons. The last time I saw much whiskey, it was the scene from the end of Band of Brothers where they found Goring's stash. Well, we do have a castle full of whiskey here. So.
Nix was happy. Yes.
Yeah, for real.
That's too funny.
Okay, so what's the proof on Vantage and what's the other?
Well,
what's the age and all that fun stuff?
it depends what bottling you're working with.
okay.
So when it
All
comes to Vantage, Dovetail, and Seagrass,
Okay.
the idea is that we blend it to taste. So The idea is to maintain flavor consistency across each bottling.
Okay.
And what that means is that oftentimes the proof will change. And sometimes even the states that we use in the blend will change.
Okay.
So
All right.
I have seen some bottles of Vantage that are just Indiana and Tennessee.
Okay.
And this one is Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. So it really has to do with what we have and how they're showing in order to make sure that we're maintaining parity of flavor across every bottling that we do.
All right.
And it's about the same for age. Usually you're looking at like 8 to 10 or 11 years, but that'll fluctuate every now and then. So for that reason, Vantage, Dovetail, and Seagrass, the labels are going to stay the same on those because they change too much, just minutely. But in the terms of the federal government and the TTB and how you're allowed to label things, coming up with a new label approval every time we do it would just be
nightmare.
We would be out of stock of it all the time.
Yeah, that would. That's crazy.
So we really keep the label pretty generic, and then
That's a good plan.
you can, in podcasts like this, or if you come visit us in Kentucky, which you can come do, you can come have a tour of our facility.
That'll be cool.
You can do that, and we'll taste through some, we could side by side some cool releases and talk about the different bottlings and how they differ from each other.
Hopefully someday we get to do that.
Yeah, you guys should come to Kentucky. It's pretty fun.
Well, look, I've never been there.
You've never been to Kentucky. You run a whiskey podcast.
I know, but never. Busy. You got kids and all that stuff. Haven't had a chance to go up there. My wife, because once my wife knows when we go up there, it's all we're gonna do is whiskey.
Yeah. Well,
so,
yeah.
He is a colonel though. So.
I am a Kentucky colonel. That's true.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there's some great stuff up there. You guys should come to KBF, Kentucky Bourbon Festival.
That would be cool.
That would be a fun one.
I think that is hopefully in our future, indeed.
We serve a seagrass slushy cocktail every year at KBF that we won't tell anybody what the recipe is. We refuse, but you can only get it at KBF. And this year it got so busy with people that wanted to just try the slushy. We're going to have a line for just the slushy that's roped off, and then a line for tasting whiskey. Because we have to, it's just too much otherwise.
That's too funny.
Now that we know that my wife has admitted that she likes whiskey,
Yes,
I think we can get her up there.
Get her to come hang. Why not?
So Greg wants to know is, since you have Barrell there, could you ask if they have 2 bottles of the 2017 Tale of Two Islands rum? One for you, one for me.
There might be 2 bottles at my house in Colorado.
There you go. See, that is one I've always heard of. Never actually tried. I've heard that thing's amazing.
You've never tried it?
I never will find a bottle of it.
I will.
At that time, I'm sorry.
This is why I have 2 bottles at my house. I will get you a sample.
Oh, I appreciate it. That'd be awesome. I'd love to try that one. It's always been on the unicorn list of things to try.
I found them. I didn't even get them from the distillery. I was in San Francisco.
Nice.
And I was I forget the name of the store. But I was in a shop that had, it was one of those shops that has all of our old releases and is very happy about it. They were like, yeah, look at all the batches we've got. We want it to be this way. Don't worry. And I found 2 really dusty bottles of Tale of Two Islands rum. And I was like, do you mind if I buy these? And he was like, well, I really would like to keep at least one of them. And I was like, listen, I'm not trying to sell you out of them. I was like, but I work for the company and I've never tried this. Yeah. And I would just love. And he was like, yeah, no problem. That's fine. So
see money, you take money, your liquor store, I buy it.
Yeah.
I don't understand the concept here. I'm confused.
Well, you got to respect the collection, and especially because when you work for the company, you don't want to buy their last bottle of something unless they want you to. And so you're just like, it's up to you, but I would love to give you money for this. And
Greg says, I brought it up. Can I get a sample too?
Where does Greg live?
Greg, I forget which state you live. What state do you live in, Greg? I can't remember.
Are you coming to West Islip? Islip. What are you coming to West Islip? We'll see what he says.
We'll find out here momentarily.
I see the ...
A barrel of American whiskey batch 1. Wow. That's nice. Mine's batch 5. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, you're in a control state. Oh. Yeah, that's tough. That's tougher.
He's near the water though.
Well,
you can find the rum.
We'll see. Let's take it offline. We'll see. I'm not going to perjure myself on a podcast, but we'll talk about it.
We can talk about it, Greg, and if things get hand delivered to you somehow, who knows? We'll figure that out for you.
This is really pretty. Same thing. A little bit of water does really nice things to it.
Yeah. What I like about this is you get the Mizunara, but it's really on the front palate for me. All the coconut, a lot more of the French oak on the mid palate, cocoa, chocolate, coffee, and then the back is all that marshmallow caramel.
Yeah, it's Everything about this is great. Because that's the standard release now is Vantage from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yep, we will Easter egg it like we do the other ones where
Vantage
we'll put
only came out a year ago or less than that.
Vantage came out in 2022.
2022.
September of 2022.
Okay, so 18
Yeah.
months.
Yep, it's pretty new. And Vantage is actually the reason I get asked this a lot, that we decided to retire Armida. So if you guys see Armida, we're not making it anymore.
Nice. So if anybody sees that, you should pick it up because you're out of luck otherwise.
So Armida and Vantage were competing against each other as, for lack of a better way to phrase it succinctly, triple cask finished bourbons in our core portfolio. And Vantage is just more approachable to a broader group of people, whereas Armida, fantastic whiskey, but it just, you either loved it or you hated it. And we saw a lot more sales on Vantage than we did Armida. So we made the decision to retire Armida.
That's great. So Annie, is there anything that you found here in the castle that's on your bucket list to try?
Me?
Yes.
Do you guys see how many bottles are in here? Like, yes, absolutely. So I always say, if I'm gonna go out and I can only drink, and I love bourbon and I work for a bourbon company, but I love Scotch. I love Scotch.
Right.
There are some really cool Springbank releases over there that look pretty awesome. And
so we might be able to pour some when we're done with this.
There are a couple Octomores over there that are pretty dope.
We do have those too.
You're on our good list forever.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I walked in here and you can't see it from the street because they've got these curtains. And I walked tapestries, excuse me. And I just walked in and I just was like, where am I right now? This is amazing. Can we clear our day? Can we stay here all day?
Totally. It's not the first time that would happen. Oh, we'll only be there for an hour or two. Okay, well, 5 or 6 hours later. That's how it goes often in here.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. They got a lot of good stuff.
Okay. Bourbon wants to know, any of the wonderful Kentucky distilled Z single barrels left to release in the future?
Whew, you know our portfolio pretty well. All right. So the question is about the Kentucky single barrel bourbons. We have the Z series of single barrel bourbons, and we've got Z1, Z2, Z3, all the way to Z6. Right now, we've only got Indiana in that portfolio. So what's interesting about them is they're 99% corn, 1% malt barley. So it's a cool mash bill.
Yeah.
And they're cask strength, of course. And they're between 8-year, 9-month, and 9-year, 7-month with 3 different age statements.
Very cool.
So we don't have any more of the Kentuckys, although I did do, and I'm turning because our Texas rep is off camera, but I did run an inventory and identified some barrels that are sitting in their inventory. And in El Paso, our wholesaler still has 7 cases of a 5-year Kentucky single barrel bourbon that they haven't found a home for yet. We do not have any more of those.
Should go out there and do that. There might be a few of you that are at least within a few hours of there, closer than we are to El Paso.
Yeah, we do not. So we're actually phasing out single barrel bourbon in our portfolio in lieu of private release bourbon. So because we're a blending company and that's really what we do, we really feel that our bread and butter exists in the private barrels that we're privileged enough to blend for people like you. And so while we had single barrel bourbon for a long time and really enjoy single barrel bourbon because we get some really good barrels,
really great stuff.
We're phasing it out and we're going to focus on just private barrel blends. That being said, all we have left to sell at the moment, if you're looking to do a pick, is Indiana, but there is out in the wild, like in El Paso, some of that Kentucky single barrel still floating around.
Or you can also fly there and pick some bottles up and take it back home.
Or you can do that.
That's an option.
Yeah, I never know what we have for sale.
You have an airport in El Paso last time I checked.
Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff over there.
I haven't been there in a long time, but they do have an airport. I do know that. Also have Peter Pan Pizza. I don't know why I know that.
What is Peter Pan Pizza?
Some ridiculous pizza place that's only in El Paso.
Okay.
I only know this because when I was a kid, we went to Carlsbad Cabaret, flew to El Paso, and drove there. And I just thought that was the funniest thing to have Peter Pan Pizza. I have no idea it still exists, but I was like in high school. I thought it was hilarious.
Peter Pan Pizza. I like the alliteration.
Yeah, it's just a random thing I remember from that.
I grew up in New Hampshire, and we just had Pizza Hut, Papa John's. Right? You're from New Hampshire. Yeah.
Was up there a lot. In the
Yeah.
summertime.
All right. So yeah, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, Little Caesars was really kind of it for
I'm
the
sorry.
big ones, you know.
Like, you lived in New York, you had good pizza.
And now I live in Denver, and I'm sorry, I will say this on record. $25 for a cheese pizza in Colorado is just outrageous.
That's horrible.
And I will not do it. I won't.
Thankfully here we
It's
have
the
really
altitude.
great
Altitude ruins it.
Yeah.
New Yorkers here that actually have moved from like the Bronx and from Manhattan to make amazing pizza. Thank God.
Original ways.
Because like my brother up in Oklahoma, there's no good pizza. He said up there it sucks.
No,
He has to come here to get good pizza.
Yep.
So 4 hours to get good pizza is just sad.
Croton water and low altitude.
It's really tough. I'm really mad about it. It's my biggest regret is I moved to a non-pizza producing state.
That does suck.
Yeah.
And terrible bagels.
And terrible. Yeah. There's carbohydrates are hard in Colorado.
Well, because the
basically.
water sucks, and that's
That's
the
right.
point.
That's exactly
If you don't have
it,
good
yeah.
water in New York, you can't make good pizza.
Croton
Yeah.
water,
Or bagels. It's
Croton
impossible.
Yeah.
That's
I live on a lead line actually. So I have to filter all my water.
Oh god!
I had to get a shower filter. I had to get. This is a whole. This is gonna take forever. We're gonna go way off. We're already running late. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's a whole different water world out there. Yeah.
There's things in my water.
Yeah.
Chill filtering will not help it.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Ben says he does hand deliver bagels.
To Colorado? Well, I'll tell you what. For a couple pours of Tale of Two Islands rum, I will take some really good bagels. That is a trade I am willing
That
to
is
make.
a good
He
trade.
might
So-
take you up on that.
Yeah, I am not mad about it.
He does travel. So
Find me in the DMs. I'll give you my address. Yeah, we're good.
You might find him. He might.
He's legit, right? It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
all
no,
right.
he's a good guy. He does travel around the country a lot, though. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did bring you bagels. In Colorado.
In a little hot box.
I would be so happy. I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah, it's funny because my mom's best friend still lives on Long Island. So for Christmas, she will send us overnight deliver bagels and salt sticks and all that good stuff. It's amazing.
Gotta have our everything bagels.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep,
All
that's
those
the
are
best
Mhm.
All right, guys. I know you guys have to go to your next appointment, so thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
and,
for having me.
Absolutely, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have Shiner here tomorrow from the castle, so it should be another fun stream. So thank you very much.
Cheers,
Really
guys.
appreciate it. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right,
Thank you.
and we'll see you guys
Thanks,
later.
guys.
All right, cheers.